Hi, Nathan Pierce here from Family Protection Ministries. Today we're talking about Zoom meetings and connecting with your legislators or their staff via Zoom. Before we get started on the practical parts of actually setting up and conducting a Zoom meeting, you need to make sure that you have figured out who your legislators are and make sure that you're preparing to contact the correct representatives. So we're working on making contact with legislators in the California State Legislature. That would be your California State Senators and California State Assembly members. To get information about who your California State Senators and State Assembly members are, you can go to our website at fpmca.org/myrep, and the link will be below, and you can go there right now and pause the video and check that out and figure out who your legislators are, and then come back here once you've figured that out and you know who it is you're going to be talking to. Now that you know who your legislators are that you're going to be contacting, you will need to go to their websites and then figure out how to best contact them to set up your Zoom meeting. Most of the legislators will have a contact page on their websites that has either a form or a instruction sheet explaining how to contact them to set up some sort of meeting, whether it's a phone meeting or a Zoom meeting or sometimes in person, but there should be some place on their website that has a request form or instructions for requesting some sort of a meeting, either with a legislator or with staff members. You can also call their offices, their district office or the Capitol office, in order to set those up, but ultimately you're probably going to be told to go to their website and fill out that form. So it's a good place to start. Another thing that you'll want to think about before having your Zoom meeting is to make sure that you have a comfortable place to conduct your meeting from your end. Now remember too that legislators and their staff are often working from home as well, so they want to have a comfortable place and maybe a blank wall behind them and a distraction-free moment from the rest of life, as will you. You may have kids that need to be taken outside for some playtime, or you may have a dog barking. These are things that you need to be thinking about ahead of time to prepare for, so that you get yourself a segment of time without distractions where you can focus on having this meeting and where other people on the meeting won't be distracted by what's going on in your home or in the area where you are conducting your end of the Zoom meeting. So once you've figured out those things, once you've positioned your webcam in a place you like, then you can conduct your Zoom meeting. But first you have to figure out who you're meeting with. You have to place that request. You have to set up a time. You have to set up your webcam and your position of where you're going to be to have that meeting. And then you can actually go through the business of meeting your legislator or their staff member to inform them of homeschooling and that you're a homeschooler in their district, and answer any questions that they might have. So why is it that you're doing this in the first place? That would be helpful to know, right? You want to present homeschooling to legislators and their staff, particularly if they aren't familiar with how private homeschooling works in California, and also perhaps they haven't really met any real-life homeschool families. That's becoming a less frequently experienced situation, but there are still people that aren't aware of homeschool folks that they know. So you want to make sure that you introduce yourself as a private homeschooler, someone who lives in their district, someone who's a normal person, someone who has a smile on their face, and you can present private homeschooling to them and be the face of private homeschooling for that individual, for that legislator, or for that staff member. So you want to present homeschooling in a positive way so that they can recognize that homeschooling isn't something that perhaps they've heard of some bad situation in the news that connected with homeschooling, or perhaps they've heard from people that want to propose legislation to restrict homeschooling or even make it illegal. And maybe they've thought, oh, well, there must be some reason that they want to do that. So you're this other person saying, hey, I live in your district. I homeschool. My family is doing great. And we are benefiting greatly from private homeschooling in your district. And not only that, but there are other folks in your district as well that are also privately homeschooling. So these are things that you can present to them in your Zoom meeting, and that hopefully will give them a fresh perspective on private homeschooling and why it should be left alone. And really that's what we want, is for homeschooling to be left alone. We like how homeschooling works in California, and we want it to stay that way. So promote leaving it alone. We're not asking for money like many lobbyists and many groups are when they go to the Capitol or when they contact legislators. We're just doing an awareness campaign to tell them, hey, we are homeschoolers in your district and we are functioning well and we don't need anything from the government, and we want you to know that we're here, and if you have any questions, we're here to answer them. So you're always there to point them in the right direction when it comes to getting information that they might be looking for. So how to set up a Zoom meeting? You'll want to go to their website, go to that contact page, fill out the form, bend over backwards to do it the way that's easiest for them. I know that you'll want to make things comfortable for you too, and that's good. It's wise to plan ahead and make it as easy for you as possible so that you're as at ease as possible during the meeting, but you also want to make it easy for them. So work on making it easy for them. If you can get some help from others in your local homeschool community to maybe watch your younger children, or to perhaps have someone else take the dog for a walk if it's going to be a barking nuisance during your meeting. You want to think ahead for these things and get some help. And then just be sure to have a friendly way of presenting yourself. Be friendly and be cheerful, and remember to think of positive things ahead of time that you can bring up during your meeting. It's okay to have notes during your meeting and to be looking at them during your Zoom meeting, but you want to try to make eye contact as much as you can with the person and let them know that you're happy about telling them about private homeschooling. You want to thank them for their time. You want to introduce yourself as a private homeschooler in their district and make sure that they know that you are in the district. You're not doing this for every legislative office in the state. You're not a lobbyist. You're someone that is a constituent, and they care about constituents because constituents are voters. And so you're a constituent, somebody that it's their job to help. You can mention a few things that are things your family benefits from in homeschooling, and mention that you want the best quality education that you can give to your children. You want to give that to them. You want to choose the best option for your children and for your family, and this option is it. And you want to make sure that it is something that continues to be an option for you. Finally, if you have questions that come up during the course of your meeting, go ahead and answer those questions to the best of your ability. But if you have questions you're not confident of the answer, or if you have questions that come up that you're not comfortable answering, you can always tell them, I'll get back to you on that question. Or you could tell them, that's a good question for Nathan Pierce, and I'll give you his contact information. And that's fine too. Another way to address some questions will be probably to point them to the packet, the legislator packet that they received from our office. And you should have the contents of that packet in your email, and you can take a look at those. If you haven't got them in your email, you can take a look at our resource page, and they should be there available for you to review either before and during your meeting. So I would encourage you to do that before you get on Zoom with somebody. review that material so that you're aware of where to look for answers if they come to you with questions, but also to be able to just point them in the right direction. If they have questions that are answered there, a lot of times they are answered in that packet. So I'd encourage you to be familiar with those materials so that they can have a place to be pointed to get the answers that they need. And ultimately, just try to have a positive impression that you're able to leave with them of private homeschooling, and that you are a functional member of society. Your family is benefiting from private homeschooling, and just leave them with a positive thought about private homeschool families. And then if you can follow up your meeting with a letter or a thank you card, that would be great. It doesn't have to be long or complicated. It can just say thank you for meeting with me. We are grateful for the opportunity to homeschool, and homeschooling is benefiting us, and thank you so much. And we have samples of thank you cards. We have these talking points also available on our resources page, so I'd encourage you to print those out as you prepare for your meeting as well. So that's all for now. Hope you have a successful meeting.